Alright, look, I like All Elite Wrestling. I think they have completely smashed it in 2019, and in 2020, I think they're going to smash it even more. As an aside, I also love WWE. What a crazy person I am. I have the capability to love more than one wrestling promotion. I know, someone locked me away. What am I talking about? But as somebody that is here on YouTube and has a lot of fans commenting on things, I have decided to put myself in your shoes, or at least open my ears and hear the things that some people have said about AEW and throw them back out so we can have a little bit of discussion. Call it a Christmas and New Year present combined. So in a very rare occurrence, I will take my positive hat off. I will put my negative hat on, although it's not my negative hat. Again, these are the things that you have fed to me, and we will now, like I say, have a little conversation about, because this is 8 problems AEW are trying to hide. Before we do kick off this list, a little honorable mention, because I said I'd talk about them all, so I'll talk about them all. Yes, the attendances. Again, WWE does this too, but sometimes you will see a really cool shot on Dynamite and you'll hear the crowd and think, wow, it is filled to the rafters, but it's not. I mean, AEW are actually still doing pretty decent attendances, but are they selling out every venue they're going to? No. Do we really have to worry about it as fans? No. But should we still be able to have a conversation about it? Yes. But that's the deal. Some venues are filled up, some are not, and when the internet finds that out, they try and burn it down, like Seth Flippin' Rollins. Number 8, the Dark Order shtick. I think we need to tiptoe around this one just a little bit, because that last Dynamite episode that we saw in 2019, I thought planted the seeds quite nicely to maybe turn the Dark Order into a force that we are going to have to reckon with. But if we do look at the year as a whole, I do agree that it has been a little bit of a struggling point when it does come to the brand new wrestling promotion. I mean, it all depends on how you look at pro wrestling. On the one hand, this one, you can say, isn't it nice that this is a product that's accessible to all? So you have your hardcore wrestling, you've got your indie wrestling, and you have characters like Luchasaurus, who don't forget is a dinosaur, and you've got the Dark Order that is like some crazy cult who's going around brainwashing people. It all comes down to execution, which is why Chris Statlander, the alien, is slowly growing on me, because I sit around a lot of time going, why is an alien come to Earth and decided, I'll be a pro wrestler? When it comes to the Dark Order, though, it just hasn't really hit home, which is why I understand some of the reactions of people going, this feels a lot like WWE in the early 90s, where you did have characters like Man in Rock, and that dude that was just, he used to play that guitar. I can't remember his name, but his whole shtick was he was a guitarist. Before I get comments, I know that was the same person, that was the joke. And that's why this does create a really hypocritical situation, because we're so happy to look at The Undertaker and go, he's a dead guy, and he's like a walking zombie, and that's all right. But the Dark Order, we're not buying into that at all. And that's why in 2020, AEW needs to sort this out, come up with some more serious angles, come up with some ideas that hit you right in the gut, like, that's kind of terrifying, that's kind of chilling, and then you'll buy in to what they're selling, which is why I quite like those vignettes. But again, we're taking the last 6 months as a whole. The Dark Order came in, the fans didn't really care, and we're still at the point where the fans don't really care, but I believe that they will start caring. Number 7, the production is still plagued by audio issues. AEW is always going to have some teething problems because it is a brand new program and it is a brand new company, and no one just walks out there smelling of gold. Like if you ever played GTA Online or Red Dead 2 Online, to give you a more updated one, that was Rockstar Games, one of the biggest game publishers and developers there is, but even then they had to sort some stuff out because they weren't expecting the demand. That has been the same with Dynamite, but I still don't understand why we're like 12, 13 weeks in and we're still having crazy sound problems. It always seems to happen when somebody is in the back. It's like whoever is controlling the microphone doesn't realize you put a microphone here, they put it like 72 feet away, and the whole production staff goes, I think that's right. I think if you have a microphone too close to someone's mouth, it just blows up. I don't massively want to die today, so make sure you keep it in the other room. It's why you keep hearing AEW crowds chanting, we can't hear you, because they can't hear you. And I got into a thing now, right? I mean, I watch it on Fight Plus or whatever the hell that subscription service is called, but you can find TNT clips on YouTube, and yeah, you do watch them, and it is absolutely baffling. I don't get it at all. The worst part is when an interview is being played over somebody else's entrance music, and then you may as well start worrying that you're deaf because you can't hear a darn thing. And I'm sure that everybody is aware of this and they're doing their best to fix it. But again, People have been moaning to me about this. Again, I get it, I understand, you're allowed to. So now I'm throwing it back out into the universe. Number 6, the women's division has been a little bit of an afterthought. Now, if you do watch my ups and downs for AEW Dynamite, you know I have said this week in, week out, and I really hope it's going to be a focal point in the new year for AEW, because once again, it just kind of baffles me a little bit. They have an incredible roster, and you know that because week in, week out, you will get random people just turning up and having random decent matches. There's not that many storylines, there's not many narratives, and Riho, the women's champion, vanished for 762 years. The thing that really gets you is you saw something like Chris Jericho versus Cody Rhodes, and you can see what people there are capable of doing. I think that's one of the best stories that was told over the last 12 months, so why can't we take some of this magic and sprinkle it over the women's division? Now, there is a glimmer of hope. I thought everything they did with Chris Statlander and Britt Baker in that #1 contendership match was quite good because they kept it simple, and I do want to see Riho versus Chris Statlander. That may already happen by the time you've seen it, but I'm intrigued, I'm buying in, so again, we're planting the seeds. But the only consistent narrative we've had is this crazy thing with the Nightmare Collective and Brandy Rhodes, and I don't understand that at all. I mean, it's probably because I'm bald and she's obsessed with hair, so we couldn't be further apart on that if we tried. And look, I hope that does get good, and I hope it does tie in, but I don't want that to be the sole thing that hangs over the women's division. Much like the men's division, I want story, 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 and then, you know, if you want to push them together somehow, you can, but don't make it just a one and done. That's always the problem wrestling companies make. It's like, this is our women's section. Don't just have a women's section. Have men, have women, have tag, have hardcore, have whatever you want, but balance it out. Number 5, there's a lot of dives. This isn't just the case when it comes to AEW, because you can look at WWE, you can look at NXT, you can look at MLW, you can look at Impact, but my word, are there just a lot of dives in professional wrestling in general. I know this is a bit like man shouts at cloud, or old man shouts at cloud, damn you cloud, get out of my face. It's the law of diminishing returns, the most overused phrase by me, Simon Miller, here on What Culture Wrestling. But if I see an incredible dive in minute 5 of Dynamite, and then on like hour 45, I'm seeing another dive, and I've also seen 62 dives in between then, eventually my brain just goes, well, I don't care as much about that dive, as impressive as it was, and I'm still like, wow, isn't that amazing? But it's less of a wow. So we should be coming up with ways to keep the wow at the top. So do this, if you have the time, and if you do, my word, you're lucky, you should use it better, but go back through every single AEW pay-per-view and every single episode of AEW Dynamite and count the dives. It's rare to find a match that doesn't have one, and I really don't think we should be doing that. We should be agenting or coaching this stuff better. So you have seen someone else do some kind of somersault, say to the next match, can you just do a headlock? I think that would be good. I just remember the time when you used to see something like this and you could not believe it, hence why it was called a suicide dive. You can't call it a suicide dive now, it's just a generic dive, or an average dive, or here I come, I'm gonna dive. Again though, this ain't just AEW's problem. This is professional wrestling in 2019/2020, which is everybody loves the dive. Number 4, the in-ring has a little bit too much cooperation. Now this is the one that gets thrown at me the most on Twitter, so we will address it here, and I want to preface this by saying I don't think every single wrestling match should look like a fight where 2 people are trying to win. It is professional wrestling, it is predetermined, so if you can come up with ways to have some fun with it, please do have some fun with it. If you're having fun, I'm having fun, #fun. But yes, in AEW, a lot of the time you can sit there and go, they are just doing move, 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 as if it's some kind of athletic contest instead of a competition. The big problem with that is when you get into tag team matches, some dude will tag the other guy in and they'll do cooperative moves or double team moves for around about 32 years, and you're like, shouldn't we be trying to move forward instead of just flipping each other around? Again, it's just that idea of making sure that you have diversity and variety from start to finish. If I watch every single bout in AEW and every single one looks like it's pantomime, that's not fair, but it looks like 2 guys working together as opposed to 2 guys fighting, then I go the other way to what I said earlier. I'm like, oh, can I just get a match where it seems like 2 guys fighting, because I'm not getting enough of that. You have to have some contests that bring a sense of importance to them where you can completely switch off your brain and suspend your disbelief, and you don't usually do that when you're enjoying the flips and the tricks and the over-the-tops and the back ends. So I would say that maybe, just maybe every now and then, the AEW roster loses sight of actually trying to win a match and instead falls into a routine like this. And I hate saying it because I think we've gone a bit crazy, right? I think we're forgetting just how impressive this is, and we shouldn't take it for granted, especially because there was a time when everybody hated wrestling matches because they thought they were really boring, but I get it. Balance is key. Star Wars got released recently, and that's what all the Jedi's about. The Jedi's, they just go on about it all the time. Balance to the Force. Like, what do you mean balance to the Force? Make it good. Good to the Force, but in this case, give me some balance. Number 3, the story about Excalibur. This one may be a little personal to me, and I don't really think All Elite Wrestling needs to overly worry about it, but this is the situation I found myself in a few days ago. My telephone rang and I answered it and I was like, why are you ringing me? It's 2019, send me a WhatsApp, you nerd. But it was someone I knew that used to watch wrestling, and they had decided to watch All Elite Wrestling because they wanted to get back into something new. And his first question to me was, why does one of the commentators wear a mask? I don't really understand, because I recognize the WWE guy, I recognize the WCW guy, and then there's just this Mexican chap. Now I know that Excalibur is one of the founding fathers of PWG, and that he's like a veteran of like 12 years, and he was a really, really good wrestler, but you probably need to think outside of that box and think about your casual fan, and maybe just drop in here or there, oh, by the way, this is Excalibur, this is what he does, this is why he wears a mask, this is what a mask represents in our industry, respect him, stop being an asshole, just in case they're being an asshole. And he is a really, really good commentator too, so the last thing you want to be doing is distracting away from that. I was kind of upset with this guy on the phone. I was like, have you not listened to what he says and how he like brings you into the action? He said, yes, I do agree with that, but I would just also like to know more. So I guess this is a larger point about trying to be as accessible as you can, cater to the hardcore fan, cater to the casual fan, cater to everybody. Like I say, you brought an alien in, you brought a dinosaur in, maybe you can bring these people in too. Number 2, certain fans are a little bit of a turnoff. Now this doesn't apply to you, and really doesn't apply for the vast majority of people, but there are certain individuals out there who hate WWE so much, and are so desperate to see Vince McMahon fail, that they have decided that AEW can do no wrong. You even say one bad word against them, or, can you believe it, say a nice word about World Wrestling Entertainment, they will actually explode, and they will come at you with all the venom and aggression in the world. And this is happening the other side too. There are WWE guys doing the same, but it just has to stop, and it has to stop all over the place. We need to start living in a society where you can like what you like, and I can like what I like, and even if we don't see eye to eye on some things, we have a very nice conversation. I go, oh, what an interesting point, and you hear me go, oh, you may be a bald asshole, but I see where you're coming from, and even if I decide not to watch one, or you don't want to watch Raw or whatever, that's okay. Instead of going on Twitter and calling people like, I don't know, flipping flub duds. And it's great that these people are desperate for AEW to succeed, but you always need to go into something with an open mind, otherwise you're just messying the pot everywhere. And honestly, sometimes it gets me down. I got real thick skin, I think you have to be if you're gonna be on YouTube. But if you say one little thing and then the internet blows up, it can really drag you down. I don't even know how All Elite Wrestling is gonna control that. Same with WWE. I don't think you can, but if you are one of those people and you are watching, just take a step back, breathe, and remember, as long as you're entertained, that's all that kind of matters. Number 1, it's nearly impossible to be a heel. It is really hard to be a bad guy in All Elite Wrestling simply because the fans that go each and every week are so tuned into what they're seeing, they know where the curtain is, they know that they're stood behind it, and they're not going to pretend otherwise. It's not like Chris Jericho gets the occasional boo, but then he has like a lol pull-apart microphone brawl with Tony Schiavone, and everybody is just chuckling their asses off. When you take everything together, I think the pros actually outweigh the cons here, because it's for this reason you get such a reaction and such an atmosphere on every single Dynamite show. I mean, they can take a standard match and make it feel like The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. But how anybody is actually going to be perceived as a villain from day 1 to day 0, I have no idea. Again, I mentioned Chris Jericho, let's talk about MJF. People hated him when he turned on Cody Rhodes, but then he was on Dynamite a few days later, and once again, having a little verbal spar with Le Champion, and everybody was laughing, and everybody was cheering him. So it does mean that the powers that be and those behind the scenes are going to have to concoct a way to get some serious heat at some point, because that's what you want. The best feuds always have that. A good guy that you love and a bad guy that you want to kick right in his bum. At the moment it's okay because it's early days, but I can foresee an environment down the line where you're going to need to switch this around, and I tell you, it's gonna be damn hard. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about AEW and any problems that you think they do have that they need to fix. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE. More videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching me, and never say that I don't listen to the fans. I think this damn well proves it.